So, what key life experiences that you experienced that have formed who you are today as a designer?
Biggest one was in high school in ninth grade. My teacher let me do architectural drafting in class, which was reserved for seniors. But since I was a good drawer artist, he let me do it and I excelled at it and got a lot of accolades for doing things and entered several citywide competitions and was successful at those. So that started a solid foundation.
How and when did you become passionate and involved in design?
I can remember in grade school um, having affinity for sketching and drawing, and I liked doodling. And uh, I think my father realized I wasn't going to be an academic like my brother and sister, so he supported me and got me remnants of paper at a paper mill.
What are your core values and how are they reflected in your practice?
I had to do everything with integrity and honesty, and that I try to do my best at whatever endeavor I'm going towards.
Next question is, what is your design process when you?
That the designing usually starts with a site plan.
Mhm.
Client typically has a desire either to put the largest building on the site as possible, or uh, maybe it's like right now.
Okay. So this kind of moves into the next question. When you're in that process, do you collaborate with other people? And if you do, how do you collaborate to where it impacts your work?
The collaboration really comes between uh, the client, and sometimes the client is really a tenant and
Huh?
our client's a developer. Uh, so it's getting the developer and the client that's going to be in the building, uh, reviewing and giving input, and uh, it helps refine the design towards what their final goals are.
Personally, where do you think design is going?
Fortunate part of where I think design is going uh, is partly due to computers, or greatly due to computers, where we as a profession have lost the fundamentals that Frank Lloyd Wright, Nero Saarinen, and some of the other great architects had. And we design buildings that we put fender and grills and stick stuff on to make them interesting, because we can't be creative enough to make the forms interesting. There's no solid.
More towards like, form follows functionality and having a purpose for a space, correct?
Yes.
Versus how you think that design is going into more of a kind of like a facade on buildings that don't have a purpose.
Right. I mean, it's Frank Gehry admits that he crumples up pieces of paper and throws them on the floor and looks at them to see, oh, I can make a building out of that.
What were the biggest challenges you have faced or that you think you are going to face?
Challenges in architecture. Uh, we have a small firm and we did a 630,000 square foot office and manufacturing facility for Northrop Grumman down in Chandler. And it was a fast track project and very demanding. A lot of it was really very specialized with security and products that are explosive and dealing with codes. And that was a pretty major project for our firm.
Last question is, what advice would you give me as an aspiring student for architecture?
An architect, I think people have a misconception as to what it is. They look at the glamour side of design and think that architects sit around at their desk and they design and they make all this money doing that. Architecture is a very complicated technical field. Uh, Probably, I would say more so than the medicine field, because with medicine, typically doctors specialize, and if they're doing eye surgery, they're doing the same surgery day in and day out, so it gets old hat. Whereas in architecture, every project is a new project and you're learning new things.